This is AUGforums.com Real Talk, an unfiltered, independent perspective on Acumatica Cloud ERP. My name is Tim Rodman, and I want to mention three things in this pre-recorded intro before we get started. First, thank you to our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Repay. Repay offers omni-channel integrated payment solutions for Acumatica users. Whether you are making B2B payments or collecting them, Repay is your full-service payments provider. Power up your payments to empower your business and accelerate the AP and AR payment flow through one seamless integration. Our second sponsor is DataSelf. DataSelf Analytics is a revolutionary reporting solution that enables organizations to make the most informed decisions faster and easier than ever. It uniquely simplifies business intelligence, empowers anyone to build and access dashboards, and delivers critical business insight when and where you need it. Our third sponsor is Velixo. Velixo is an award-winning provider of Excel-based reporting solutions for Acumatica. With Velixo, you can build financial, project, and other business reports in Excel with live Acumatica data in just a few minutes and get the answers you need. If you know Excel, you can do it. Please take a minute to support this podcast by clicking each one of the sponsor banners located at augforums.com/sponsors. Our sponsors track clicks, and every click helps to support this podcast. The second thing I'd like to mention is that I'm always looking for victims. Guests. If you use Acumatica in any capacity, no matter how small, I'd love to talk with you. Check out augforums.com/podcast and click the link near the top of the page to learn more about being a guest on the podcast. Third and finally, I'd love to see you listed on my Rolodex. Check out augforums.com/Rolodex to find out who else is using Acumatica and read the instructions at the top to see how you can add yourself to the list. All right, that's it for the pre-recorded intro. Let's get started. I did a total of 18 interviews with people at Summit, and I'm dividing those 18 interviews into 4 parts, 4 separate podcast episodes, just so each episode won't be too long. Today is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022, and this is episode number 64, Acumatica Summit 2022, Interviews Part 3. Mark and Brian, thanks for joining us. I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourselves, who you work for, and what you do there.
Yeah, my name is Mark Kennedy. I'm the fractional CIO for Shape Connect. And I'll let Brian introduce himself here as well.
Hi there, I'm Brian Zielinski. I'm the CEO of Shape Connect. We're a business-to-business software and services matching platform. So we help companies select the right software services for their needs. We also have a pool of service providers that help our customers as well. And Mark, of course, leads the implementation work. So once customers select software, Mark and his team then support that implementation project.
So when you say software, I heard software and services. It's both for software and selecting services?
Right. So we're like a B2B marketplace where you have all kinds of different software tools. And then again, it's about finding best fit on the software side. But companies also come to us with HR troubles. They want a new website. So we've got HR partners, we've got web design partners, we've got digital marketing agencies. And so we create really good alignment either with software tools for their business or with outsourced service providers that can solve problems within their companies.
So I've got an analogy for you to attempt to how I'm thinking of this. I like shopping at Costco because when I go to Costco, they do all the vetting and I don't have to worry about the options that are on the shelves. Is that kind of what you're going for?
Definitely. Like there's all these options out there. And I think you can even go a step further. It's like if you were shopping at Costco and then someone like Mark is alongside you saying, this is the best thing that you need for your household. And then I'll help you use it within your household. That's kind of what we do too. So we have a whole advisory arm that guides those selections and then helps with project management and implementations.
Yeah, and we have found that our customers, not only do they want that matching service, so not only do they want the shelf stocked full of those different items at Costco, but like Brian was saying, then they want some help as to how to put that into their home or into their business in our sense. And then so we kind of stand between the customer and the VAR typically on these software implementations, where we're being the translator between the two, so that both sides have success in being able to do what they need to do. That there is the communication between the two is kind of matched, because a lot of times the customer doesn't know what they need to ask for and the VAR doesn't know what the customer is asking for. And so we're able to stand in that gap there and help translate that a little bit.
And when you talk about being a B2B platform, how much would you say what you do is like some kind of magic, artificial intelligence, machine learning, matching algorithm versus just good human beings helping you out in the process?
Right. So as we obtain data and customers come into our platform, and we have all kinds of business surveys and assessments to help them understand their business challenges. So we have accounting and financial assessments, technology assessments, process assessments. As they trust us with that information, the more and more we gather that information, the more and more we can automate the journey between, here's your business problem, and then here's a great vendor, whether it be a software vendor or a service provider that can address that need. It is automated right now. We look at factors like location, budgets, industry served, things like that, and we can start to foster good connections, with that type of information. But obviously that's continuing to evolve, and of course we have to look into AI long term and everything, and really making it sophisticated. We want to be predictive, ultimately, just in the way Amazon is predictive as a marketplace. When they know you as an individual, Tim, what you like to buy, they're already 6 months ahead saying, oh, you might need new shoes at this time, and they're forecasting that for you. And we want to do the same thing on the business side. So that's kind of where things are headed.
So you want to kind of be in the decision process when businesses are making decisions specifically about business software, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting when we're walking through the marketplace here, and with all the different software vendors at the conference, the Acumatica conference. I mean, there's so many great partners, and they all have, niche capabilities and things like that. Oftentimes it's hard for business owners, business leaders to have the time to learn about, who even exists out there. If they're unable to come to a conference like this, we're working with these vendors to get onto our platform so we can make more companies aware of their services and software. And then what makes them unique, and why, one payment solution might be better than another payment solution for a specific business. We're helping them make that decision, and just getting to know all these partners that are here. So it's not necessarily that any one is better than another. It's sometimes there's just a fit within a company that we're working with that makes sense for us to pick a certain solution over another.
Well, and we've also found that then as we're going through the whole implementation process, we're learning about their businesses, knowing what they need, knowing what their wants are, and then able to basically go into our database and find the proper vendor for them, to be able to make a good match, so that their businesses can, have a very low barrier of entry into that implementation process, right? So that we're not picking the wrong vendor. They're getting a vetted vendor, and one that we know is going to work for them.
What about this part? So for me personally, I'm not a software salesperson. I feel like there's so much software out there, and Silicon Valley does such a great job of marketing. I feel like, it's not Silicon Valley anymore. It's Marketing Ideas Valley. They don't really make stuff anymore. They just come up with ideas.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not quite as big into that. What I am into, though, is using the software that you already own. Do you guys do anything in that area to kind of facilitate when you see decisions that people are looking to make? Do you feed that back into maybe the existing software rather than just trying to go sell them another piece of software?
Yes, some of what we do, we get brought into our advisory services arm, the arm that Mark leads. Oftentimes people come to us, they've already selected an ERP, and now it's about optimizing it for their business. So they've had their go live, it's starting to work for them, but maybe they don't have the internal technical expertise or the bandwidth sometimes to, bring it online as much as they would like. And so there's not necessarily a problem with the solution. It's just they need somebody dedicated to the implementation process. And then looking across their other business needs, saying, hey, we might need to hook in another software tool to that ERP to optimize it further, to make sure that we're addressing these challenges. And we know those vendors that might hook in well. So very much it's about, not breaking anything. If something's working with their company, we don't have to recommend something new. We can try to optimize what is in place today.
Yeah, I like the idea too that you mentioned, like doing surveys and kind of helping through the decision-making process on the front end. I know with ERP implementations, especially, there's always this excitement in the beginning, and then there's this like big, oh, this is a lot of work in the middle. And just having more confidence that you did make the right decision up front, I think is really important when you're in the middle of that implementation. It's so tempting to start looking for the grass is greener, shinier other object and pull the plug. But a lot of times you just need to press forward. And the more that you have confidence in your initial decision, I would imagine that helps lead to more successful implementations.
Yeah, and we can do that. So we have a couple of tools that we help combat what we call the valleys, right? So there's always the peaks and valleys during all the implementations when, I joke, they kind of it's very big in the beginning and they start smoothing out a little bit as it goes along. But one of the things we do is we survey our customers before we go live with the ERP. And we have these KPI metrics that we then monitor throughout the implementation that we can bring back feedback to them to basically bring them back to that ground zero of, this is why we are doing this, and this is why this is a good thing. We know it's a lot of work. We know it's hard, but we also then it kind of recenters their position so that they're not going off that deep end that sometimes happens.
And the survey tools help us assess the employees, down the ladder within the company too. What's the sentiment of how people are adopting the new technology and what refinements are needed to help them learn? And then we provide additional support with we have a training app on the phone where we have little how-to guides and videos that we customize for that implementation to make sure, and then we can track, employee progress too. Are they watching their training videos, the modules, and just making sure we get a company-wide adoption and are continuing to learn about the business needs as they evolve throughout these different journeys.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. What does that sentiment check-in look like? And is it like how are you feeling about Acumatica today? Is it smiley face, frown face? I mean, what does that look like for the person who's taking the survey?
What does the survey look like, or what are we seeing so
how
far?
do you practically, what are you asking people to gauge how they're doing during the implementation?
A lot of times what we do in that, so we'll kind of give them, a question with a scale of 1 to 10 or something about, how do you feel about this? Strongly disagree, strongly agree kind of situation. And it's more questions about like, do you feel equipped to do your job currently? Do you feel like you have the tools necessary? Have you feel like you've got the proper training? Things like that, or even simple questions as like, has your manager checked in with you in the last week about this implementation? And that then kind of gives us the ability to kind of look at these things and then be able to target certain things. If the manager isn't checking in with them during the implementation, now us as the leadership team during the implementation know that, hey, we need to talk to the managers and train them up a little bit better or provide them with better tools to be able to check in with their employees more regularly. That's interesting. So you sound like less of a software technology company and more of a human psychology company to me. Oh yeah. We're all about the person. Like that is where this is all at. We're all human beings on this earth. We're all doing this thing called business. But at the same time, we all have emotions and feelings that, we need to make sure and change is difficult, right? That stirs emotions and feelings like anything else.
It helps us get ahead too. I mean, we've had instances before we started putting in those survey capabilities within the companies and during the implementations, people said, I think my job's is gone now. And it's making sure that we can provide the feedback up to the leadership team. So the leadership of an organization knows what their employees are feeling. And then we have helped, facilitate some roundtables with employees. We usually do some different quarterly presentations across the organization where we help the leadership team present the progress that the company is making as a result of the implementations. And that, I think, also, we're getting the vision part incorporated into these implementations and helping the leaderships, convey that across their employee base.
That's really cool. I think ERP is so much about not just buying software, but making it work. And I think that's really cool that you go not just through the software selection phase, but all the way through the implementation. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, hey, anything else you want to bring up before we wrap it up here?
I think at this point now, we appreciate the opportunity. We're we're looking forward to meeting more of the software vendors here and different VARs, and always we can connect on shakeconnect.com or through LinkedIn, and we appreciate this opportunity, Tim.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me and giving me a flavor of Summit. I can see the hallway in the background there. And any general Summit comments from your experience so far?
So far, I mean, Acumatica does things A+, right? Like we were out here in last July when this thing started, and it was awesome then. And they do such a great job out here to get everybody involved in their community. And that's one of the things we talked about. You talked about people before. Like, I feel Acumatica does a really good job of focusing on the people that use their platform rather than just the technical aspects of the platform.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your time there. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
See you guys.
Bye. Bye.
Hello, Ashley and Cristian. Thanks for taking 15 minutes out of your busy Summit schedule to give us a flavor of what's going on there. I'll let you introduce yourselves, who you work for, and what you do there.
Hi, Tim. Thanks so much for having us. My name's Ashley, and I'm the marketing manager at Klear Systems. We're based in Orange County, California, and we service LA, San Diego, Arizona, Nevada, just basically the Western region. So right now I have Cristian with us. He's also our business development representative, and he's fresh blood. So excited.
How fresh is fresh blood?
January 6th was my first day, so this month.
Yeah.
So you go right into the Acumatica Summit. That could be good and bad. It's probably overwhelming, but on the other hand, you're probably getting a lot of info there, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely been a good experience so far. Definitely learning a lot. It is like being thrown to the wolves, but I think that's the best way you learn.
Unfortunately, I agree with you. So we're kind of in the middle of day 2 now. What maybe you could give me 1 or 2 things that you guys have learned there that you haven't learned before. It doesn't have to be about the product. It could be just about anything that you've picked up there.
You want to go first, or do you want me to?
Take it away.
Okay. So for me, what I always find really interesting is just how on fire everyone is for Acumatica. Like it's really truly a cool thing to see because it's software, right, for your business. And so like a lot of times me as a marketer, like some people are like, oh, software is not sexy. But it's like, it doesn't have to be like sexy, but people are still so pumped about it. And that's the coolest thing, I think, for me to see, and just to like relearn every year. Cause you get into it and you're just working, and, I don't know. Then you just come back to these conferences and you just see how many people are like, oh my gosh, I love like the testimonials and everything. And you're like, that's right. Like we are actually providing some really cool stuff for them. So.
I agree. It's not just software. It's back office accounting software. I mean, this is not that exciting, and yet people get pumped up about it.
They really do. And I think Acumatica does a great way of making it fun. I mean, I've only been to, a handful of conferences for software in general. And they just have the best parties, the best food. It's just like, yeah, if you're gonna have something that's kind of not as exciting as maybe some other industries, like we're gonna beef it up some other way. So,
how about the Wynn there? So I haven't been to the Acumatica Summit for this one or the last one. Before that, I had a streak of 4 or 5 years, but I'm not a Las Vegas person at all. But here's my impression: the Wynn seems like maybe one of the classier areas of Las Vegas, which isn't saying a whole lot, but is that an accurate feel for the place?
I would agree. Personally, I have only been to the Wynn for the conference. As you mentioned, you've been to several other summits, myself as well. So I really enjoyed when it was at the Cosmo because it was, so close together. I think you probably remember like the rooms were just a few levels above, and then the conference sessions were just below, and it was just really nice and stacked. With the Wynn, it's a lot more spread out, but I think that's going to be great as the conference continues to grow. And but it is like a nice hotel too. Last year I was in a tower suite just by chance. I think that like I checked in and they were just so busy, and they're like, here, we can bump you up. And I'm like, that's great. So the room was obviously incredible. And then this year when I checked in, I was on the 5th floor, which is still perfect. I'm like, okay, it's not going to take as long to get to the conference. But the room was still just as nice, which I honestly was a little bit surprised about, but I was like, wow, well, if it's going to be at the Wynn, that's a nice perk.
So the Cosmopolitan was the last one I was at. That felt more like a nightclub. Does the Wynn feel maybe more like a country club?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And you guys even found a quiet spot there, which probably wouldn't even be possible at the Cosmopolitan. So
I don't think so. Yeah. So with here, we're like, oh, we have a nice little view, even of like, a garden terrace, and
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, because it looks like the next Acumatica Summit is going to be at the Wynn for the 3rd year in a row, and so people like me have to start thinking about maybe we should go this time.
Yeah, I heard that they have a 5-year contract. I don't know how true that is.
But, okay. I love rumors. That's good. That's good to hear rumors.
So,
Cristian, what about you? What do you think about the Wynn?
I mean, it's definitely nice. It is a little bit of a trek going from your room, depending on, what breakout sessions you're going to. It is a little bit of a walk, but it is nice, being kind of separated from, I guess, everything else. It's not so compact, but at the same time, it would be nice for time's sake if it was closer together. But all in all, it's really nice.
You get your steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they have rentable Segways? Do you see anyone going around on a Segway?
Maybe that's not a bad idea for next year. It'll definitely get our name out there. They're like, did you see that company that has Segways running around the country? You're giving me ideas, Tim.
That's cool. Well, how about, just I heard it sounds like the numbers are down a little bit because a lot of last minute cancellations due to COVID. But what about, sounds like you say the energy is doesn't sound like that's any different. What about the size? Does maybe the less size make it kind of nicer logistically, or any thoughts on that?
That's an interesting question, because everyone was saying that it was the same number of registrations as July. And I was like, okay, well, maybe not attendees though. Like maybe they registered and then, last minute had to fall out, just because it did feel a little bit empty compared to what it's been in the past. I don't feel, the energy is still like really high. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see next year when, hopefully I think that we'll be a little bit more out of this, and we're going to have like so many more attendees, like actually, because just with this is my 5th summit. So just seeing the trajectory of the summits and how many more attendees come each year, we figured this one would kind of be a little bit of it would just be interesting to see if people attended like last year, and with it being so soon afterwards. But yeah, I think next year for sure there's going to be a lot more attendees.
Yeah, if the trajectory is like this, and we experience a little blip, the catch up is going to be quite a catch up to get back to that trajectory. Yeah, that'll be interesting next year.
Yeah, it will be really interesting. And even, with the vendors, like in the marketplace and everything, I remember last year they were like, I had a friend text me and she's like, can you get me some chip clips? And so I was looking for a bunch of chip clips, and they were like, oh, here, take them, because they didn't want to go home with their swag, right? So next year, I think vendors are probably going to have to like double their swag, because there's going to be so many people.
What about yesterday? I thought I heard Klear Systems' name come up in the keynote somewhere, but I can't remember where. Do you recall what it was? Was it a customer that was on stage? Maybe let us know.
So it was about our customer. They actually didn't make it to the summit, but I recorded the little session, and I'm going to send it to them and be like, this is why you need to come, so that you guys, you're getting this exposure. But yeah, they were discussing ToughBuilt and just all of the integrations that they have, and the amazing work that they've been doing with Acumatica, the growth that they've been seeing. And that was really unexpected on our end. We knew they were going to mention ToughBuilt, but we didn't realize the extent to which they were going to discuss ToughBuilt and our partnership with them and Acumatica. So that was exciting for us.
Okay, now I think you're refreshing my memory. I think there was like 3 bullet points. One of them was extensibility, which is like inside Acumatica, and then there was an integrations point, and I think that's where they brought up ToughBuilt. Maybe they integrated with a bunch of systems, and Acumatica enabled them to kind of be the hub for a bunch of integrations that they wanted to do, something like that. Does that sound right?
Yes, yeah. And Acumatica, obviously, they have so many different integrations. And then even with this morning's keynote, announcing more, even more integrations, it's just like, wow, the customizations are just endless.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up. I don't know, Cristian. You're not only jumping into something to start, but you're jumping into something that moves very fast. So it's not just you. You know, even if we've been around it for a while, it's still hard to keep up with all the stuff that they're releasing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, awesome. Any other last thoughts you want to wrap up with?
Gosh, we miss you. We want you to come to the next summit.
Well, thanks for giving me confirming my understanding of the Wynn. I think that helps nudge me in that direction. We'll see. I got some time to think about it, and hopefully this COVID thing winds down quite a bit more. But congrats to you guys for braving it. Looks like you're having a great time out there. So the more people I see with smiles on their faces, the more likely it is I'll be able to make it there next year. And looking forward to seeing you in person.
Yes, you too, Tim. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Tim.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of the time.
Bye.
Darin, thanks for joining us from the exhibit hall. I'll turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself, who you work for, and what you do there.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Darin Horrocks. I'm the Executive Vice President for Business Payments for Repay. Repay was formerly known as APS Payments. And so this is our second Acumatica Summit. We did the first Acumatica Summit in July here at Wynn also. And during that summit was our official first introduction and rebranding of APS Payments to Repay. And I am responsible for all of the business payments division for Repay, which includes our payables and receivables offerings to business customers. So, really facilitating commerce between B2B customers and merchants and customers and vendors. So,
Hey, can you help me out on Repay? I don't remember. Was it just a rebrand of APS Payments to Repay, or was there already a Repay organization? And if so, what did that entail before APS came along?
Great question. So Repay was founded in 2006, really as in the acquiring business credit card processing, mostly for consumer payments and loan repayments and those kind of things. And then in October of 2019, I think it was, had the opportunity to acquire APS Payments. So it was an acquisition. APS Payments have been around for quite a few years and been involved in the integrated payments space with ERPs and was one of the first Acumatica integrated payments partners here.
So without the APS Payments, Repay probably wouldn't be into ERP integrations. APS is what brought you into that space.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Repay went public in July of 2019. And with that money that was raised, it was a very, very specific objective to enter the B2B payment space, and specifically integrated payments through. And APS Payments was the first acquisition that was made by Repay in order to really intentionally get into this space.
Okay. I know there's a lot of payments providers in the ERP spaces. What are some of the things that make Repay a little different than the other providers out there?
Yeah, great question. So I think the biggest thing is that we, first of all, we own our own technology, and we've built really purposeful integrations for our customers in the ERP space in order to remove friction from the transactions. And then the other piece, there was another acquisition that we made in July of 2020. So about 8 months after APS Payments was purchased, we acquired a company called CPay Plus, and then another business called CPS. And what those businesses gave us by combining those three businesses together was the ability to both facilitate the receipt of payments, which when we walk around the exhibit hall here, mainly we run into companies that are facilitating the receipt of payments, make it easy to get paid from your customers, which is what APS Payments was focused on. And then with the addition of the CPay Plus and CPS business units and bringing that all together within one brand of Repay, that gave us the ability to also make it easy for our customers to facilitate payments to the vendors. So now, what really makes us different is that our customers can really utilize Repay as a one-stop shop. to be able to make it easy to get payments from customers as well as to make payments to the vendors, and to facilitate that commerce through, like I say, one brand. That gives us the ability to do some things like speeding up the time from which you're collecting cash from customers and being able to turn that around and pay bills, right? So, a lot of times there can be delays and, a lot of risk underwriting, those types of things. Well, where we own both parts of that relationship, it really allows us to remove friction from facilitating both the receipt as well as the outbound use of those funds.
So when you say you own your technology, it sounds like some approaches are that they integrate with other solutions, but you own the stack, so you have control over everything from beginning to end. You're not reliant on other vendors under the hood on the payment side. And then on the accounts payable side, I'm curious, does that mean I can only make a payment to my vendor electronically, or could you also have the ability to cut and mail checks to them?
Yeah, believe it or not, we actually have, that's another, I guess you'd call it technology, but we own our own print and mail shop. So we process several 100,000 pieces of mail every month. We make all kinds of payments with paper still. Now, obviously, our objective is to try and digitize as much of that as possible, which increase the benefits to our customers. But ultimately, a customer can come to us, and basically, a lot of times when I talk about the payable side of the business, probably the best analogy I can highlight there is that very few companies are still doing in-house payroll, right? They've outsourced their payroll to somebody. Well,
right.
What payroll companies have done for companies on the payroll side is what we've done for vendor payments for the outbound payable side. So, a customer could basically say, select open invoices, and right within Acumatica, select what invoices they want to pay, click, get paid, and literally we take care of the rest. Everything from
Interesting.
the vendor engagement, the vendor validation, making sure that we're eliminating the chance of fraud and within those transactions, all of those kind of things. And we'll facilitate payments to the vendor, and we'll make sure that we make it easy for the vendor to receive it, right? Because whether they, unable to take an electronic payment and reconcile that, and they still need to get checks, we can still pay them. So, and the customer, of course, from their perspective, they don't need to worry about how something was paid, just that it got paid. And so, that's one of the major advantages of being able to terminate that process into Repay. I know I shouldn't probably use the trademark term, but I talk about pushing the easy button on payments, right? That's really the best way to describe it. So.
I got to ask you a little more on the vendor side. So important question here. So I was talking to an Acumatica customer recently, and they used to use AvidXchange for the payable side of things, and they liked that AvidXchange would also cut checks if they wanted, but they found that AvidXchange was hassling their vendors so much to make them go electronic, or really try to force them to go electronic, so they didn't have to cut that check. Do you have any kind of assurances that you could give us that you won't pester someone's vendors to make them go electronic? You're willing to use that paper mill and cut those checks if needed?
Yeah. Really, we obviously try to drive as much electronic as possible, but it only gets you so far if you use a hammer, right? If you're carrying around a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail, right? That's the best analogy to use. So, we're going to make sure that even though we're facilitating making that easy and trying to drive towards electronic, that we're adding additional value for the vendors receiving, right? And that's where it helps that we're able to provide those services on that flip side. So, in other words, we can now offer our receivable services for those vendors that need to get paid. So, if a credit card doesn't make sense for them, or a virtual credit card, that was one of the negative things I had heard is many times, again, turn that vendor into a nail when you get carrying around that hammer, right? So our approach is really to make sure that we're making it easy, and then that presents us with opportunities, right? Because we can turn that vendor or the merchant recipient into a potential customer. So we want to make it easy for them to do business with. And, we count a little over 110,000 vendors as part of our vendor network participating. And one of the opportunities that we see in the coming months and years is to turn those vendors that are receiving payments from our customers from the payable side into receivables customers. And so we want to make sure that they have a great experience and that's something that they want to do.
So you'll make the offer to the vendor, but it sounds like if they say, stop bothering me, you're willing to keep cutting the checks. And part of that has to do with, tell me more about the paper mill. I'm curious, do you actually own a company that cuts down trees, or what does that involve?
No, I apologize if I didn't enunciate that clear. I said print mill.
I might have heard it wrong. Print mill, okay, yeah. Not paper mill.
Yeah. So we've got a print shop. We've got a print shop that based out of Fort Worth, Texas. That print hundreds of thousands of pieces of mail and check and remittance and mail it out. And so
but it sounds like that same philosophy.
Obviously.
You own the stack of the printing itself. You're not outsourcing it to another third party. That's the least glamorous part that no one wants to deal with, but you actually have that under your roof. That's encouraging.
Yeah, that's right. As well as the back-end processing platform and the gateway, right? And when you talk to payments companies, a lot of times they're connecting to a third-party gateway. They're also using somebody else, like a Global Payments or something like that, for the processing engine. We own all of our own technology, including our own gateway, including the back-end processing engine. Another acquisition that we made a few years ago called TriSource. We now call that Repay Clearing and Settlement Engine. So all of the technology that you consume from us, or our customers consume from us, is technology that we control, we integrate, we build into the ERPs. That's the other thing that's a clear differentiator when you talk about. I don't like to mention competitors by name, but one of the you talked about some of these other competitors. One of the things that a lot of the ERP companies didn't care for with those types of approaches is it really took customers out of the ERP and forced them to use somebody else's technology stack and portal, right? So while we own our own technology stack, we build all of the functionality needed into our integration with the ERP system so that the client can have those payment experiences within the ERP. They don't have to worry about going to separate systems in order to manage payments. They can do that right within the ERP, within Acumatica, and not have to worry about. And our integration is native to Acumatica, and of course we're certified developers, so we're always making sure that we're putting the right resources around, keeping it up to date, and doing all those things so the customers experiencing what they hope to do, which is they've chosen Acumatica for a reason, so we keep them in Acumatica and let them experience their full payment experience within it.
This might be too specific, but I know you do the payments in Acumatica, like for the accounting folks, but do you know if you're in the Acumatica Customer Portal yet for customers who are logging in?
So we actually, so great question. So we actually are not yet. We actually have a roadmap item. I actually just finished up a call just before I came over here to get on this broadcast, and it was our product prioritization board. And we have Acumatica Customer Portal targeted for our second quarter this year. So so that'll be something we'll be launching this year.
And I would imagine with owning your whole stack, when I look at Repay, I see maybe not as bleeding edge, but a little slower moving beast, but more of a a solid platform because you control all those pieces. So you're not maybe quite as on the bleeding edge of innovation, just my total take. But when you get there, you're bringing the whole platform along with it. So you're not just dealing with a bunch of fingers and octopus tentacles. That's kind of my take when I look at a Repay. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Well, I would say that we certainly are investing the resources to put us on the leading edge of the technology. So it was very, very deliberate move to acquire the companies that we did because there was a presence, there within the integrated payment space. And now, our objective is to take all of the backbone, if you will, of that technology stack that we offer, which gives us that reliability that you talk about, the predictability for our customers, and then to be able to develop on top of that to say, okay, what are the next things that they need, right? I would say it's interesting because in the payment space, the probably leading edge or bleeding edge, depending on how you choose to frame it, it's been quicker to be on the consumer side of the market and into the SMB side of the market, right? So small,
Sure.
more of the small business, and a lot of that is because the less volume, the less transactions you have, the more manual work you can do to make sure you have the proper controls, proper accounting, reconciliation, all those types of things, right? The larger the enterprise, the more functionality you have to have around those controls, and many times those larger enterprises have been slow to move as a result. So what we've really, our objective is to take what has been the leading edge of technology on the small business side and really make sure that we've made it bulletproof and added all of the necessary functionality so that it can be very well consumed by the enterprise size client, and to let them participate in the digitization of their payments. So that's our vision. We think that we've got the right tool set to be able to remove a lot of the barriers that live with that.
Well, it sounds like you've had this plan in place for a while. Now maybe you're getting to the fun part of executing it, which is actually the stuff we can see as you're building out those features. I'm sure there's a lot of work that went into getting the big pieces in place, and now you get to deliver those features that people get to see, and that's got to be exciting and gratifying.
Yes, I think it is. The most important part is that you got the right team to do it, right? So we've been adding a lot of resources to our team over the last year and a half to 2 years, and as you can imagine, in this environment of labor shortages and those things, that hasn't been easy, but it's been that's been the key. And so putting the right team in place in order to be able to execute on that plan has been necessary, and we feel like we've got the right pieces now to start doing that. So
that's awesome. Well, Darin, thanks for taking the time. Would you mind giving me a little 360 around your booth there so I can see what's going on?
Absolutely. There? Yeah. So
that's a big screen.
Yeah, we've got a nice booth. We've got a couple of folks from our sales team, and so we've got a great location right across from the Acumatica.
Oh, there you go.
There, got Amma, and when you're doing this thing on the camera, it's the opposite, right? It's hard to figure out that opposite thing. So, so we're right across from the Acumatica booth, and watching the keynotes and that on the big screen over there.
Awesome.
So yeah, we've been pleased. Seems like traffic's been down a little bit from what we saw in July, but we've had some great great visits with existing customers, prospective customers, and partners, and we're really encouraged by what we see occurring with those interactions.
Awesome. Hey, thanks again for doing it from the showroom floor. I know it's noisier on your end than it is on my end. It's not that bad on my end. So I was able to hear you, and I appreciate you giving us a flavor for what it's like there at Summit this year.
Thanks so much, Tim. Appreciate it.
Take care. Welcome, Dave. I feel like I just talked to you recently, but I'll let you still go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, who you work for, and what you do there.
Sounds good. Yeah, I never get tired of talking to you, so it's not a problem. My name's Dave Dozer with Blaze IT. I'm the president there, and obviously we're a Acumatica VAR, specially focused in kind of the industrial goods manufacturing sector. But we have distribution customers and manufacturing customers and other industries as well. And just hanging out here at the summit and trying to keep my head down and stay out of trouble. So
you haven't, like we talked last week, you haven't jumped into any bars and picked up an instrument and played some music, have you?
Not yet. No, been a little too busy for that. Maybe next summit we'll have to actually plan something and do a better job of getting something going there. Little Acumatica jam band.
That's great. Well, last week we talked about you being nominated. You were one of 3 partners nominated for a Fast Start Partner Award. Tell us how that award ceremony went. You had at least, I gave it a 1/3 chance. How'd that turn out for you?
Yeah, so it turned out pretty good for us. We ended up winning the Fast Start Partner Award. So I was very excited about that. I was probably more nervous than I should have been going into the partner awards there, but it was an honor and really a testament to the team that or to the work that our team has done. over the past year, because it was really based on the most number of deals, and I think maybe overall revenue as well over kind of the last 18 months. So within that time fence. So, I was very pleased that we won, and just onward and upward now. We're looking towards that's past us now. So we're looking towards next year and hitting even bigger goals.
So what were you nervous about? Did you have to give like an acceptance speech or something, or what was the nerve-wracking part?
No, it really wasn't anything bad at all. Like I had this picture in my head that we'd have to walk up there in front of everybody, and I'd trip and fall on my face or something like that. But no, they get through it pretty quick and easy, and then you just kind of hang around afterwards and do the pictures with everybody. And we had on our super annoying Blaze IT jackets, and I had a horrible bright blue jacket. So it was fun, shaking hands with the executive team. They're like, who let these people in the room, So it was fun, and hopefully everyone else enjoyed our sense of humor as well. So
well, I saw that picture and I thought it was awesome. I thought the colors looked great. You had the bomber jackets, you had on that kind of bright blue jacket there, and
exactly.
That looked really cool. You definitely had a fast start, hip kind of a look, which was appropriate, I think, for the award.
I figured good, bad, or indifferent, people are going to remember us.
There's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
That's what they say, and that's what I'm going with. So.
So how about Summit? You got maybe one or two things that you've learned? It doesn't have to be about the product, but just something that maybe you didn't know before that you picked up there?
Yeah, and maybe more product driven. And maybe I'll talk a little more just kind of like some of the exciting things. I haven't been to a Summit for quite a while. Probably 3 or 4 years since I had been to one. I kind of took a break from the Acumatica world there for a while. And it's really kind of exciting to see the difference where things are at now, kind of compared to that 3 or 4 years ago, and just the strides that have been made in the product. And I've just been going to the manufacturing things, and they're really focused on really a lot of little detail stuff now that maybe was missing in the past. Like the breakout sessions and things are less like flashy, so to speak. Like, oh, hey, look at this cool GitHub project that does this. Yeah. And it's really more like, okay, here's, available to promise. And, here's, adding the X or, like a Y count point to an operation, like cool stuff or I think it's cool at least, that are very specific functions that, are maybe kind of lacking in the past. I feel like it's, really testament to like the maturity of the product at this point, really kind of putting the little touches on things now. So, I don't know if that counts as learning something, but it's been very exciting to see kind of that maturity and where they're going with the product now.
That's great to hear that, because I've kind of been noticing that in the release notes. It's great to hear that you're picking up a similar thing at Summit, and that, Acumatica for a while there, it just kept adding cool tech, but it was kind of thin. And now it seems like they, it's not that they're putting a boundary on it, but they're going a little bit deeper into basic things like give us some out of the box dashboards so we don't have to build them all ourselves, right? And
exactly.
I really like seeing them go that last mile. It's like they did 80% of it, the hard part, the tech part. Now give us the 20%, that saves us time on the other end. And I've been noticing the same thing. So that's good to hear that you're picking up the same thing there at Summit.
Yeah, and hopefully, I think everyone else is kind of seeing that same vibe, and maybe it's not as shocking and ooh and ah type of stuff as maybe you're used to in the past. But from a reseller and implementer standpoint, that stuff gets me super excited. Those little details,
Especially in a manufacturing company, right? I mean, it's all that back office stuff, those details, especially in a manufacturing environment, that really matter.
It really does. Yeah. I mean, that's the most important pieces. You kind of expect the big flashy stuff, but it's those details, that really make the difference between, a successful implementation and a so-so one. So it's just, giving us more tools to be able to go out and help clients and, really leverage Acumatica fully.
That's cool. What about the rest of the week? Are you heading back today, or are you staying the rest of the week? What's your plan?
No, we're the whole team's heading back tonight. It's tough to spend a whole week at one of these things, and my inbox is overflowing at this point. So kind of got to get back to the office, and and I've been through the training, and there's a ton of value in that and stuff. But yeah, we're cutting out tonight. Everyone enjoyed the party last night, and so that was great. Hopefully next year we'll see you there as well. So
yeah, I was just talking on a couple of chats ago about that, and the kind of the vibe you get at the Wynn. So let me run it by you. See if this sounds about right. Last one I was at the Cosmopolitan, and I'm not a Vegas guy at all. Like it's the last place I want to go. But
you're not hitting the tables and the clubs.
No, not at all. The Cosmopolitan felt like a nightclub to me, and the Wynn kind of strikes me as a country club. How about, would you agree with that?
I would kind of agree, because I'd never been to the Wynn before. I've been to Vegas a few times, but in some of the other hotels, and I was a little surprised here. Like even the floor is a lot smaller than some of the other casinos, and yeah, it does feel very resorty. There's marble columns everywhere, and the rooms are fantastic, and the staff here has been great as well. Yeah, and there's that big golf course out there. Yeah, you kind of feel like
view.
You kind of feel like you're at a resort, not necessarily. Once you get past the casino floor there, like you wouldn't even know you're at a casino, which I enjoy. I'm not a big. I like Vegas. I like eating and going to shows, but I'm not a big gambler by any stretch. So.
And are there enough food places, like your experience last couple of days? Were there enough food places at the Wynn to accommodate everyone, where you could just stay on site the entire time?
Yeah, like we really haven't had to leave. We honestly we took the team out for a dinner Sunday night, and we had kind of forgot to make reservations, so that was a little limited. Making a reservation on Friday for a Sunday night dinner, but we were able to find a real nice spot. Kind of an Italian place. Had some Bellinis, and definitely won't complain. But yeah, there's all sorts of food. You could be here all week, I think, and not have to ever step foot outside.
Okay, I like to hear that. These are all good points in my head for next
year.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to sell you on coming out to the next one for sure. So
well, that's good that is going to be there, not at the Cosmopolitan next year. So I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, it's definitely a little more relaxed than some of the other Vegas spots I've been to before. So
good, relaxed. I like that word. I like that.
As relaxed as you can be at a 2.5 day conference. So we'll put the
with all that's
on
going on.
Yeah.
Well, any other parting thoughts you want to bring up before we wrap it up?
No, it's just, again, hoping to convince you to get out here next year. And it's been fun. I will say, honestly, the turnout was probably a little more than I anticipated, because we ended up not coming to the one over the summer. So I was kind of like, I was wondering kind of what the content would be and how many people would be here with, just having the previous one 6 months ago. So I was a little surprised with, how many folks have shown up for this one. So I think that's probably another good testament just to the product and, to the leadership team and what they're doing to continue to keep people engaged and interested. So I was very happy, obviously, that we made it to this one. And again, very, very proud of the team of the Fast Start Award, and hopefully we'll add some more hardware next year when we come out.
Hey, I'm glad you brought up that point about just how fast it was, because I was thinking the same thing with the keynotes. I felt like one of them, we're missing Jessica Gadbois on stage. So we don't have that polish of the demos. So there was the demos I felt like were clunkier. But then the other thing I was realizing is they just put on one of these shows back in July. And there's a lot of work that goes into these things. And I felt like you could even see John Roscoe's reading a little more from the notes than he would be usually. It's got to be tiring. It's just like the NBA season, when they had to shift it out. Then the next season, everyone's getting injured, right? It's like,
it kind of reminds you of the same thing. Yeah.
You can't expect that much out of it. Yeah.
No, and I've been very, and maybe surprised shouldn't be the word, but impressed, I guess, with what they have done. And the previous ERP company I was with, like I would be involved some with kind of, not the logistics of putting these shows together, but like the content and, what the recorded demos on the main stage and stuff were going to look like. And that was months of work.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine like turning right around and having to knock another one of these out,
Yeah, no, I agree. With that in mind, it's not like it was a bad couple of keynotes. It wasn't up to the standard I felt like they normally do. But I think it's totally understandable given they just did the thing in July, so it's not that
Yeah,
surprising.
so to even have content,
Yeah,
is pretty remarkable. So
I agree. I agree. Well, awesome. Well, congrats again on the Fast Start Award. Have a great. I hope your travel is uneventful on the way
me
back, and
too.
let you get back to that email inbox.
Excellent. All right. Hey, it's always a pleasure, Tim, and appreciate it.
Likewise. See you, Dave.
All right. Take care.
Bob, thanks for joining us at Summit. I'll let you start off by introducing yourself, who you are, what company you work for, and what you do there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tim. Bob Black from Aktion Associates. The vice president of the multi-industry division. That's the division at Aktion that sells, implements, and services Acumatica.
Multi-industry. That's interesting. How come you don't call it the Acumatica division? I'm curious.
Yeah, great question. We've had a number of discussions around that topic. We didn't want to limit ourselves, and we really wanted to accentuate one of the real strengths of Acumatica without calling it Acumatica. None of our divisions at Aktion have the actual software in the name, and so I guess we wanted to keep with that convention. But multi-industry kind of made sense just because that's our typical, real strong. Some of our best clients are people to do multiple things, and typically we were bringing in. Customers that are using 2 or 3 different software systems onto one platform and having one version of the truth. So that's a message that really has gone well for us.
I like that. I also see that as being a big strength of Acumatica. You've got other ERP products that might be better if you're only doing one particular thing. But when you go horizontal across multiple industries, a company who's doing manufacturing and construction or manufacturing and field service, something like that. Yeah, I could see that Acumatica plays well in that space.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, how's Summit been for you? Looks like things are starting to wind down a little bit. Did you learn anything new? Not even just about the product, but just about anything there at Summit?
Yeah. Leading up to Summit, I guess it was a little iffy with how many people were going to be here and how it was going to go. Really glad it didn't get changed or canceled. I think getting back in the usual schedule with Summit, I think is it's a benefit for future years. It's been great to see everybody. You get these last couple of years have been virtual, and spending time with people. We've had a strong showing from our customer base here, and we did our typical cocktail party before the big event on Monday evening, and just great to kind of reconnect and spend some time relaxing with and getting caught up on our customers that are coming here to Summit, which are some of the advisory board members and some of the newer customers. Nice cross section of customers represented here.
So I forget, did you make it to the one in July, or is this your first one since 2020?
No, I did. I
Okay.
did make it to the one in July also, but it was reduced in size also, kind of like this one a little bit. But looking for next year to kind of be that kind of big increase back to normal levels.
So you're the first one to join us from a room at the Wynn. Could you give us like a 360 spin around the room there? How does it look there?
Absolutely. The Wynn is an awesome place. The facilities, the convention area, and I got to tell you, every restroom that I've been into is spotless and sparkling and in perfect repair. I mean, this place is really something. Here's a quick tour of our room and the view. Watch for the view at the end.
Okay. Oh, it looks nice. I like it. It looks cozy. Oh, nice view. Check that out. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
It's got a little bit of a country vibe. I like a country vibe personally. It seems relaxing was the last person I talked to, how they described the Wynn.
Yeah.
How about awards? I know Aktion was nominated for some awards, a few of them, I think.
Yeah, we did. It's very, it's humbling to be, nominated for these. We were nominated for both the construction finalists for the Construction Partner of the Year, and we also finalists for the overall Partner of the Year. It's a great team. It's a great product and a great group of customers that I think we've had a really incredible 2021. And yes, we were successful in getting the Construction Partner of the Year, the Excellence Award for construction.
Awesome. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Last person I was just talking to got an award, and it sounded like they didn't have to give an acceptance speech. Did you have to give any kind of acceptance speech for yours?
No, it's kind
Okay,
of a bit of a process. They get you up on stage, take a picture, and then you move on. So, it was great. Still great recognition, and the executive team from Acumatica, we're very, very gracious and generous with that. And a lot of them stopped by our cocktail party last evening also. So it was great to have that interaction with them.
Awesome. Yeah, in addition to construction, I know you're also into manufacturing, especially you personally, that multi-industry division. But what have you seen at Summit related to manufacturing? That seems interesting.
So distribution and manufacturing, one of the really interesting key new things that's coming out in 22R1, really excited about, is blanket orders. Blanket orders got the ability to ship to different addresses for different line items, and kind of a process which they showed us for the first time. I've seen it today, where you basically have a blanket order, and then you have a way to release that out into basically children orders that then can go off and make shipments against. Really interesting functionality. Looking forward to kind of digging in on that one.
Did you get to see any breakouts, or just what we saw in the keynote this morning?
I have not seen any additional breakouts for either distribution or manufacturing.
Okay.
The interesting breakouts is kind of these last couple of years have really pushed the whole e-commerce concept for many different businesses, and because we've been looking at that as an emerging market for us, and spent some time in those sessions.
Yeah, it's hard to pick those sessions, isn't it? I mean, a lot of times you have a few that seem interesting, and they're all happening at the same time, and you just got to make a pick. It's tough. Yeah, I thought that was interesting this morning on the blankets. I caught the part where it looked like you could take one line and schedule it on multiple days. I missed the part, though, that I caught that you could do multiple locations across the order, but I missed that you could do multiple locations on an individual line. That sounds pretty flexible.
Yeah, I think, it's a show and tell version. It's a beta, I think, that was just released today, a new beta that was just released. So can't wait to get back to the office and kind of download that and take a better look at it. I think one of the telling things about this new beta is just the number of pages in the release. I think Joy referenced like 180 or some pages in the release notes. So looking forward to digging into that.
Awesome. Well, are you heading back today, or are you going to stay for the whole week there?
I've got sessions tomorrow I'm going to be involved in, and then I'll come back on Thursday. So one more day for me. The rest of the team is going back after today. We had a little celebration, get together dinner this evening before people head back home. So looking forward to that too.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the award, and thanks for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to give us a flavor. You're the first one to show us a room at the Wynn, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you for asking, Tim, and great to spend some time with you as always. Thank you.
You too, Bob. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Well, that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next episode of AUGforums.com Real Talk. Thanks for listening, and take care.